After 10 years apart, he was shocked when she revealed their incredible hidden connection. The crisp autumn air was filled with scents of fallen leaves and wood smoke when Jake peeked out from under the hood of a battered old pickup. The sun caught the gleam of his grease-stained hands, reflecting the long years he'd spent rebuilding after the family garage crumbled under the weight of debts and broken dreams. Each twist of the wrench was a step closer to redemption, a nod to a past he couldn't forget and a future he fought to secure. Then, like a scene straight out of a dream, he caught a glimpse of her Mia. 10 years since they'd last spoken, 10 years since she packed her things to chase a dream out of Maplewood, leaving behind an ache that never quite faded. Mia stood there, vibrant and alive, her laughter echoing in his mind like a song he couldn't get out. Opening her bakery, Sweet Memories, right down the block, she looked radiant, radiating warmth just like the pastry she sold. But along with the flood of fond memories came a familiar tightness in Jake's chest. Every time they crossed paths, from him stopping by for coffee to her bringing in warm croissants to the garage, the ghosts of their past loomed large. Each shared smile rekindled the sweet innocence of young love, now tangled in misunderstandings that had torn them apart and left their families embroiled in silent turmoil. The town murmured, aware of their history but unaware of the sinister connections beneath the surface ties that stretched back generations. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Back in Maplewood, old wounds began to reopen. As the annual Harvest Festival approached, the town buzzed with excitement, but for Jake and Mia, the stakes felt alarmingly high. The deeper they explored their feelings, the more they had to confront the whispers in the community. Jake's loyalty to his family wrapped around him like a weight, urging him to tread carefully. Could he let go of their family's expectations for a chance at love? It gnawed at him. Mia, embracing her newfound role as a small business owner, felt the shadow of doubt creeping in. Each pastry she crafted echoed the years spent dreaming and the family ties she couldn't escape. The juxtaposition of their lives hung in the air like a tense cord waiting to be strummed, ready to snap. Finally, Jake stood on the threshold of her bakery, the aroma of baked goods swirling around him, mingling with hope and fear. They were about to share more than just a past, they were on the brink of discovering the truth about their families, a truth that could either mend their hearts or shatter them forever. The door swung open, and Jake sensed everything could change in that moment. Would the secrets unravel the delicate bond they were rebuilding, or could they transform it into something enduring? A billion questions hung in the air, daring them to take the leap. The bell above the door chimed softly as Jake stepped inside. Sweet Memories, the warmth enveloping him like a long-lost embrace. He felt the weight of every moment he'd held back collided with the sugary sweetness of the bakery. Mia was at the counter, her hair tied up in a messy bun, and flour dusted on her apron, a sight so familiar yet foreign after all this time. As she turned to face him, her eyes sparkled in the golden light filtering through the window, illuminating the corners of the small space like hope. Mia, he breathed, the word thick like a promise lost in the years. But she just smiled, a shy half-smile that betrayed the storm of emotions swirling beneath the surface. Jake's heart raced. They were standing on a precipice, teetering between what was and what could have been, each breath filled with unsaid words. "Hey, Jake." She replied, her voice steady but betraying a hint of nervous excitement. "It's nice to see you again after all this time." He stepped closer, drawn to her warmth, the past crashing around him like the autumn leaves outside. They were two kids again, caught in the thrill of first love, yet the weight of their shared history was a palpable reminder of everything they had lost. "So, how's business?" he asked, his hands fidgeting in the pockets of his worn jeans. "It's going really well," she replied, her enthusiasm creeping in, her eyes lighting up. I didn't think Maplewood would want a bakery, but people have been so supportive. I love it. Jake smiled back, but a pang of jealousy flickered inside him. This was all she ever wanted, and now here she was, living her dream while he felt tethered to the past. Mia, I've been thinking. He hesitated, words hanging in the air like the dust motes swirling in the sunlight. This was the moment to share everything: his heart, his fears, the feeling that had never fully left him. But as he searched her face, he saw her anticipation tempered with the same trepidation holding him back. Thinking about what? She asked, breaking the silence. About the way fate had intertwined their lives in ways they still didn't fully understand. About us, he finally said, each word loaded with the weight of a decade. About everything that happened back then. Her face shifted, concern flickering in her eyes. Jake, our families, it's complicated. I know, he replied, his voice softer. But 10 years is a long time. Shouldn't we at least talk about it? A tension filled the air, thick as the frosting on her cupcakes. She looked away, her fingers tracing the edge of the counter. I want to, I really do. But what if the truth is more painful than the silence? Before he could respond, the bakery door swung open, bringing with it a rush of cold air and a group of familiar faces, friends from their childhood, laughing, snapping pictures, unaware of the heartache bubbling inside. Jake's pulse quickened. He felt exposed, caught between the past and present. Hey, it's Jake, called one of the friends with a wide grin. Come join us. Mia's face changed slightly, an anxiety sweeping over her. She looked at him, and for a fleeting moment, Jake glimpsed something deeper, a desperation to break free from whatever had constrained them for so long. Maybe another time. She murmured, a hint of hope mingling with uncertainty in her voice, just before their friends enveloped Jake into their chatter. As he chatted and laughed, Jake realized the connection they shared was so much more than he thought. What if they had been linked all along by much more than misplaced love? What if their family's secrets intertwined them in ways that would change everything? His heart raced as he searched for Mia among the crowd, a newfound determination building inside him. He needed to find out what lay beneath that unspoken history, and what revelations awaited them in the heart of Maplewood. Would the truth unite them, or would it push them apart once more? With a resolve stronger than the hidden connections of their families, he stepped back toward the bakery counter, ready for whatever came next. Jake took a deep breath, focusing on Mia as he maneuvered through the crowd. Laughter bounced off the walls, but all he could feel was the rhythm of his heart hammering to the beat of his anxiety. He had to talk to her. Their earlier moment hung heavy in the air, and he could sense her hesitation beneath the surface of her cheerful smile. The chatter faded into the background as he finally locked eyes with her across the room. Mia was trying to engage with their old friends, but there was a softness to her expression when she caught his gaze. His pulse quickened. For a fleeting moment, it felt like the whole world shrank down to just the two of them. He could see the flicker of 1,000 unspoken thoughts racing across her face. Let us go outside, he said suddenly, surprising himself. The bakery brimming with life felt stifling, pregnant with memories they needed to unpack. She glanced around, uncertainty flickering in her eyes, but then she nodded. They slipped out the back door into the cool, crisp air. The autumn sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, the sunset casting a golden glow that wrapped around them like a secret. Away from the noise, everything felt suddenly clearer, as if the past decade had evaporated with the lingering warmth of the bakery's oven. What did you want to talk about? Mia asked softly, her hands nervously fidgeting with the hem of her apron. Jake took a step closer, the distance closing, enveloping them in a bubble that felt both reassuring and electric. About us. About why we drifted apart. I can't shake this feeling that it all ties back to our families. I don't want to ruin what we had, Jake, she started, looking down at her feet. Then let us redefine it, he urged. We are older now, aren't we? If we don't talk about the pain, how do we learn? I've missed our talks, I've missed you. Her eyes rose to meet his, and he saw the glimmer of that old spark. You really want to talk about this now? More than anything, he admitted, his heart pounding. Okay, she whispered, as if accepting an unspoken challenge. 10 years is a long time, Jake. Things have changed. Our lives, they're so different. I'm not the same kid who left either, he explained, his voice steady but filled with urgency. We both made choices. But some part of me always wondered what it would have been like if we hadn't been pulled apart. If we fought harder for what we had. Silence hung between them, thick and tumultuous. Jake could feel the weight of so many words left unspoken. He needed to dig deeper, to probe the heart of this tangled knot that bound them. What if the truth we're avoiding is bigger than us? What if there is something about our families that we don't know? He leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. Maybe they kept secrets from us for a reason. Mia's breath hitched, and for a moment, an emotion flickered across her features: fear, hope, confusion. You think it ties to everything, he pressed on. I can't shake the feeling that if we unravel the truth of our families, we might just find whatever it is we lost. She opened her mouth as if to respond, then paused, contemplating the heavy possibilities. The shadows danced beneath the fading sunlight, revealing uncharted territories of their feelings and fears. Jake, she finally said, what if confronting this only brings us more pain? Jake's heart faltered. She had a point, the truth could shatter them just as easily as it could bind them. But the thought of avoiding it felt like a betrayal to everything they had shared. Or it could bring us peace, he countered. If we're going to do this, we should do it together. Mia stood still, wrestling with the weight of their past and the uncertainty of their future. The air buzzed with possibilities, each breath igniting a flicker of hope in his chest. Let us uncover the truth, she finally resolved, her voice stronger now. Jake nodded, their hearts seemingly pulsing in unison. But as they stepped back into the warmth of sweet memories, a nagging question popped into his mind. What hidden family secret waited just beneath the surface of their shared history? And more importantly, would they be able to face it together? As they re-entered the bakery, the sweet aroma of cinnamon and sugar enveloped them. Laughter bubbled around the room like a lively symphony, yet Jake and Mia stood frozen in their own universe, the weight of their shared decision pulsing between them. Mia's eyes darted around, absorbing the familiar faces, laughing, reminiscing, lost in their own stories. Could they truly embrace their own? Whatever revelation awaited, they had to be ready to confront it. Are you sure we're ready? Mia whispered, her voice barely louder than the clinking of coffee cups on the counter. Jake took her hand, a simple clasp but packed with meaning. I don't think any of us ever really is, but we have to try. Together. She nodded, her brow furrowing slightly. They moved to a quieter corner, a cozy nook surrounded by a clutter of baked goods, where fragments of their shared childhood remained intact. Where do we begin? She asked, the soft tremor in her voice revealing how deep this challenge ran. Jake glanced at the scattered group of their old friends, some still unaware of the emotional storm brewing at the edges of their lives. What if we start with our parents? Do you remember how close they were? A flicker of conscience passed over Mia's face. Yeah, they were practically inseparable until everything changed, she replied, her voice misty with nostalgia. Do you think that has something to do with us? I think it might be the key, Jake said, feeling the resolve strengthen inside him. The more we know about their pasts, the more we might understand our own. He hesitated, then pressed on. It's time to uncover the truth about why they kept us apart. Mia inhaled sharply. You might be right, but I fear what we'll find. What if it destroys us? Or it brings us closure, Jake countered, squeezing her hand tighter. Just like the truth of why we drifted apart. We owe it to ourselves to find out. They exchanged determined glances, both knowing they were crossing a threshold they couldn't return from. Okay, Mia finally said, her face set with new purpose. Let's talk to them, our parents. Tonight, Jake added, a surge of adrenaline rushing through him. Maybe we can get them together and just ask. Mia's expression transformed, a mix of anticipation and trepidation. What if they refuse? Then we push. We deserve answers, he said firmly. And we deserve a chance to understand what really happened before it tore us apart. They stole a glance at the gathering, where laughter mingled with holiday cheer, yet felt galaxies away from their conversation. A sense of urgency washed over Jake. Would they even be able to pry the information from their families? What if it takes more than just asking? Mia pondered, her apprehension evident. What if they shut us down? Jake thought for a moment, a sense of realization dawning. Then we dig deeper. We owe it to ourselves, to our past. Suddenly, an unexpected pang of nervousness coursed through him. Would their families be willing to open up about secrets long buried? Or would they be met with resistance that threatened to push them apart again? The moment still hung heavily in the air as they remained locked in shared determination. The tension was palpable, a thin thread beaded with hope and fear. That night, standing on the brink of an emotional seismic shift, they made a pact. No matter what unfolded, they would face it together. Let us meet up again tomorrow. We'll talk to our families together, no matter what, Jake said, determination brimming in his eyes. As they stepped away from that pocket of quiet, a subtle shift started to settle over them. With hearts racing and minds whirring, the question echoed in Jake's thoughts: would they be ready for the truths lurking in the shadows, or would it drag them deeper into a past neither of them expected? The answers would come soon, but at what cost? The morning sun poured through Mia's window, illuminating the dust that danced in the air. She stirred to life slowly, a flood of yesterday's conversation washing over her like a cool wave. Today was the day. The day they'd confront their parents about the tangled roots of their past. Her heart raced with each thought. Would they be understanding? Angry? Desperate to keep the past hidden? She glanced at her phone, the screen still dark, and felt the weight of uncertainty settle heavily on her chest. She couldn't stall any longer. After a quick shower, Mia dressed, her mind racing through every scenario. What if they were wrong? What if their assumptions shattered their families? The thought made her stomach churn. But what if they were right? What if uncovering this truth brought peace to the chaos? At noon, she met Jake at a small park cafe nearby. The breeze was brisk, but the sun felt warm on her skin, a contrast to the chill of anxiety creeping in. Jake was already seated, his blonde hair tousled, a furrow in his brow that hinted at his own nervousness. "Hey," he said when he spotted her, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Hey," she replied, sliding into the seat across from him. "You ready for this?" Jake shrugged, his fingers tapping anxiously on the table. "As ready as we can be, I guess. What if they don't tell us anything? Then we push, remember?" Mia echoed their pact from last night, hoping it would imbue them with courage. After moments of silence punctuated only by the distant laughter of children playing, Mia leaned in. "How are you feeling about your mom, though?" Jake hesitated, collecting his thoughts. "Honestly? I'm scared. She's not one to open up, and talking about the past is something she tends to avoid." He clenched his jaw, determination carving a path for his fear. "But I'll do it. I have to know." With their resolve rekindled, they focused on their plans over coffee, strategizing how to address the looming topic. As the afternoon light faded, they arrived at Mia's house for the first confrontation. The familiar creak of the front door felt surreal, each step echoing with memories of happier times. Mia's mom, Claire, was in the kitchen, her apron dusted with flour, immersed in baking. She turned, her face lighting up in a bright smile, but confusion quickly colored her expression. "Mia. Jake. What brings you here together?" "Mom, we need to talk," Mia said, her voice quavering despite her resolve. Claire paused, wiping her hands on her apron. "What's this about?" Jake stepped forward, eyes steady on Claire. It's about our parents. About everything that happened before we grew apart. An awkward silence fell, thickening the air between them. Claire's eyes widened momentarily. Was it surprise or fear? Mia, sweetheart. I don't think this is. Please, Mia interrupted, urgency in her voice. We can't ignore the past any longer. We deserve answers. Just then, the front door swung open and her father, David, walked in. He felt the tension immediately, his brow furrowing as he caught sight of their serious expressions. What is going on here? Mia's heart thudded loudly in her chest. This was it. The moment they had all been waiting for. Dad, we have to talk about the divorce. About what really happened, Mia said, her voice trembling but full of determination. David exchanged a glance with Claire, anxiety wrapping around his features. Mia, I don't think this is the right time, but Mia pressed on, emboldened. No, it has to be now. We need to know why you two. At the mention of their parents' past, something flickered in Claire's eyes. Jake sensed it too, an unspoken understanding, a whisper of something buried deep within. Just as Mia was about to dive deeper into this emotional realm, her phone buzzed loudly on the table. It was a message from her brother, Ben. You're never going to believe what I just found out. What was he referring to? What new twist lay ahead? Jake and Mia exchanged a glance, the urgency of their mission recognized in each other's eyes. With their families surrounding them, the past was about to unravel in ways they never dared to expect. What could Ben possibly have found? What secrets still clung to the shadows of their families? Was this the right moment to dig deeper, or the start of a chaotic spiral? Mia felt a jolt run through her as she read Ben's message. It rattled the very foundation of her bravery. What could he have discovered that would cause her heart to race with both curiosity and dread? An untold truth hovered in the air, a tension so palpable that even Jacob shifted uncomfortably. Do you think we should check it? She whispered to Jake, feeling a strange coil of anxiety tightening in her stomach. Maybe it's nothing, he replied, though his eyes betrayed his own uncertainty. But what if it's something? The room filled with an anxious buzz, her parents exchanging looks, their concern deepening. Claire's hands trembled slightly, flour dusting her apron as she wiped her forehead nervously. Mia, sweetheart, she murmured, breaking the silence. Let's just take a moment. Maybe we can talk about something else for now. Mom, Mia's voice was firm but soft, we can't run from this. We have to face it. David sighed, running a hand through his hair as if trying to comb out the worries. All right, he said reluctantly, but let us not bombard each other. We need to stay calm. Ben's message loomed heavily in the background of the moment, a reminder that secrets had been hidden for too long. What if this was the key to unlock everything? The pivotal moment that might shatter old wounds but also free them? Just then, her phone buzzed again. Another message. Come home now. This is big. Please. Mia's breath quickened. The urgency in Ben's text gripped her by the throat. Something's happening, she said, her eyes pleading with Jake and her parents to understand the seriousness of it all. I need to know what Ben found. Before anyone could respond, Mia bolted from the kitchen and hurried to the hallway, her footsteps echoing on the wooden floor. She could hear Jake following behind her, close on her heels. Mia, wait. He called, his voice tinged with worry. As they reached the living room, anticipation hung in the air thick as fog. Mia swiped open her phone, her fingers trembling over the screen as she typed a quick response. What's going on? The reply was instant. Trust me, it's about Mom and Dad. Just come home. Mia glanced at Jake. What do we do? We go. Now, he urged, his face set with determination. They rushed outside, Mia feeling the cool breeze whip across her cheeks as she sprinted to her car. The weight of their parents' past began to feel like a haunting melody, echoing in her heart. As they drove, her mind spun with possibilities. What could be buried deep enough for Ben to uncover? Arriving at Ben's house, Mia shot out of the car, adrenaline firing through her veins. Jake fell into step beside her. She needed answers, and for the first time, she wasn't sure if she was prepared for what they might find. Before she could knock, Ben swung the door open, his expression a mixture of excitement and dread. "You have to see this." Mia could see the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "What did you find?" she pressed, urgency trembling in her voice. Ben hesitated, the weight of secret knowledge pressing against his lips like a dam holding back a flood. "It's about Mom and our real family connections," he finally said, his breath shaky. A chill ran down Mia's spine. A hidden connection? As she looked in Ben's eyes, she realized the simplicity of their lives was about to be shattered. With the past clawing its way to the surface, would this revelation pull them together or tear them apart? The moment of truth stood just outside the door, and Mia took a breath, ready to face whatever storm awaited her. What secrets of the past were about to collide with the present? Inside, Ben gestured for them to follow him to the living room. The atmosphere felt charged, every shadow sharp and foreboding. Mia's heart pounded like a drum in her chest, each beat echoing the urgency of her thoughts. She exchanged quick glances with Jake, both of them silently questioning what lay ahead. The living room was dim, save for the warm glow of Ben's desk lamp, illuminating a stack of faded papers. Mia felt a knot tighten in her throat. What kind of discovery required this much secrecy? She stepped closer as Ben handed her a neatly folded piece of paper. "Start here," he said, barely above a whisper. Mia unfolded the document, scanning it quickly. It felt like ages had passed in mere moments. The letter was a birth certificate hers. But there was something off, the names listed as parents were not the ones she knew. "What is this?" she stammered, the room spinning slightly under the weight of disbelief. "That's just the beginning," Ben urged. "I found it while looking through some old family records." His voice trailed off, but Mia could already hear a crescendo of questions rising inside her. Why didn't Mom tell me? Why would she hide this? Maybe she didn't know, Jake offered. Or maybe it was something painful. The words hung in the air between them, heavy and suffocating. Feeling the weight of curiosity and fear swirl in her chest, Mia pressed on. "What else? What did you find?" Ben nodded slowly, grabbing another folder from the pile. He opened it to reveal photographs old, faded, and filled with smiling faces. "These people, they're your real family," he said. "It goes deeper than we realized." Mia leaned in, studying each image as dread crept into her bones. Faces she didn't recognize but felt oddly familiar. She flipped to a picture of a woman who bore a striking resemblance to her mother, the smile so warm it seemed to echo love even through time. "Who are they?" "They're your half-siblings," Ben said, voice steadying despite the magnitude of his words. "And they live just a few towns over. Mom's past it's way more complicated than we thought." Everything around Mia seemed to blur. The walls pressed in on her, each breath felt sharper, electric even. Why didn't I ever know about them? Why didn't she ever mention anything? "It's clear someone was trying to protect you from something," Jake added softly, sympathetic to her turmoil. Mia's mind raced, memories with her parents flashed through her thoughts like lightning. Their laughter, the warmth of their home. How could all of it coexist with such a hidden reality? She felt betrayed and lost, the ground beneath her trembling. "What do we do now?" she whispered, her voice shaky yet resolved. Ben's gaze was intense, and for a brief moment, they shared an unspoken understanding of what was at stake. "We find out. We have to, for you and for them." She nodded slowly, fear and determination battling within her. "We have to face this." As Mia's heart began to steady, a sense of purpose ignited in her. Who were these siblings? Would they welcome her, or would it shatter the fragile peace she had with her parents? Before she could form another thought, Ben's phone buzzed with an incoming message. His face paled, eyes widening in disbelief. "It's them they want to meet," he said, his voice trembling. A rush of emotions flooded Mia: excitement, fear, uncertainty. She looked at Jake, who nodded with reassurance. "This is just the beginning," he said, his voice steady. Mia took a deep breath and steeled herself. "Then let us meet them." As they exchanged nervous glances, she couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would change everything. What if the truth was darker than they imagined? And in the face of this new reality, would they emerge united, or would old wounds tear apart what little was left? The door to the unknown was about to swing wide open, and Mia felt a mix of dread and anticipation. The next few hours felt surreal. Mia sat on the edge of Ben's couch, her hands trembling in her lap. She glanced around the room, filled with family photos, trinkets, a life that felt so ordinary yet so foreign to her now. Each minute dragged on, as anticipation twisted her stomach into knots. "Do you think they'll like me?" Mia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was stepping into a scene from a movie, a plot thick with uncertainty. Jake leaned closer, giving her a reassuring nudge. "Of course they will. They're your family, Mia. They'll want to know you just as much as you want to know them." There was a confidence in his words, and she clung to it like a lifeline. But as the time for the meeting approached, dread seeped into every crevice of her thoughts. What kind of family was waiting for her? Would they be happy to see her, or would they view her as an intruder? The birth certificate she held felt more like a curse than a blessing in that moment. Ben broke the thick silence. "Hey, we should probably plan how we're going to approach this. It's important to stay positive." He shuffled through the papers on the coffee table, pulling out a small map. "This is where they suggested we meet." Mia leaned over, tracing the route with her finger. "It's a cafe in town." It seemed almost too simple for such a monumental occasion. "Yeah, they wanted a neutral spot, something casual," Ben explained. He looked up at Mia, concern etched on his face. "Are you sure about this?" "We can always wait." "No," she interrupted, surprising even herself with the firmness in her voice. "I need to do this. No more running." Her heart beat rapidly as she felt a newfound strength surge within her. If she was going to face this new reality, she had to step forward, no matter how terrifying it seemed. On the drive over, the air in the car felt heavier with uncertainty. Mia was lost in her thoughts, uncertainty mixing with a flicker of hope. What if they had a shared laughter, a bond that transcended the years lost? The possibility painted a fragile picture in her mind, one she clung to desperately. When they parked outside the cafe, her breath hitched. It looked inviting, with bright flowers lining the entrance and the sweet scent of pastries wafting through the air. Yet, each step felt like a march to the gallows. Inside, Mia's gaze darted around, searching for familiar features among the patrons. Her heart raced. Would they resemble her? Would she feel a spark of recognition? "This is it," Ben said softly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You ready?" "No," she admitted, shaking her head. The thought of walking in was daunting, but still, she couldn't turn back. "But I will be." As they stepped through the door, the sound of laughter and soft chatter surrounded them. It struck her like a wave, the warmth of human connection, alive and vibrant. "Mia?" A voice called from across the room, filled with curiosity and warmth. Mia turned sharply. A woman stood up, her expression a mixture of surprise and delight. The world seemed to fade around her as she locked eyes with the woman who bore the same smile as her mother. Are you Mia?" At that moment, it hit her this was more than just an introduction. This was the beginning of everything uncharted and unknown. "Yeah, that's me," she replied, her voice trembling. The woman took a cautious step forward, eyes glistening. "We've been waiting for you." As the weight of those words sank in, a rush of emotions exploded within Mia. Hope, fear, anticipation swirled together like a storm, leaving her breathless. But just as the initial embrace was about to happen, the door swung open again, and a figure walked in. Their eyes met hers. Someone else might just unravel this already tangled web of emotions. "Who are you?" Mia muttered under her breath, each syllable heavy with expectation. The encounter was about to take a turn she hadn't anticipated. Would this person bring answers, or a deeper layer of confusion? She could feel her heart racing as she stood at the brink of discovery. The figure that stepped through the cafe door moved with an air of familiarity. Mia's breath caught in her throat as she studied the newcomer. He looked almost too much like the man she remembered from her childhood photographs, the father she lost long ago, the only image that floated in her memories like a whisper of a dream. "Mia?" he called, his voice breaking slightly on her name. A mix of surprise and concern crossed his features as he locked eyes with her. "Mia, dear, do you know him?" the woman who had greeted Mia earlier asked, concern growing in her voice. Mia felt the world tilt. There he was, standing just a few feet away, a stranger yet not. Years of questions and what-ifs tumbled through her mind like leaves in a windstorm. "It can't be," she murmured. She struggled to make sense of the whirlwind of emotions that pulled at her heartstrings. "Mia," he pressed on, stepping closer, "it's me. I had no idea you were here." Behind her, she felt Ben's steady presence, grounding her while her world rocked in every direction. His eyes flicked between Mia and the man, gauging the situation, ready to step in if needed. The coffee shop's buzz quieted, turning the moment into something sacred. Mia's heart raced, and silence wrapped around her before the words finally broke through. You didn't know?" Options for questions floated in her mind, but they felt too overwhelming to voice all at once. The man shook his head, a hint of regret crossing his face. "No, I didn't. I never wanted to leave, not like that." Mia swallowed hard, the air thick with unresolved emotions. "Then why did you?" The question came out sharper than intended, her inner turmoil bubbling to the surface. "Mia, please let me explain," he began, but the words tumbled out before he could continue. "Explain? Explain what? That you left me?" Anger edged into her voice. "Or that you never tried to find me?" His brow furrowed, a flicker of pain evident on his face. I had no choice back then. It was complicated. She interrupted. "You disappeared. How could it ever be that simple?" The emotional dam she built for so many years began to crack, threatening to break open and flood the small cafe with all the hurt and longing she had kept buried. "Mia, please," he pleaded, reaching out a hand toward her. His desperation was visible, but she hesitated. Despite every impulse telling her to run or scream, a part of her wanted to hear him out. Amidst the chaos of emotions, the woman who had greeted Mia stepped forward again. "As his mother, I can assure you, we had no idea. But now you're both here, and perhaps it's time for the truth to come out." "Truth?" Mia echoed, feeling the tremors of unease settle into her bones. "What truth?" The man's face paled slightly as he took a deep breath. "There's more to our story, Mia, more than you've ever known." The intensity in his eyes spoke volumes. It was equal parts fear and hope. Mia's heart raced as she realized she stood at a crossroads, a chance for closure or a chance to unlock doors long shut. "Just tell me," she whispered, the weight of years filled with longing suddenly pressing heavily on her chest. Each heartbeat reminded her of everything at stake. Before he could answer, the cafe door swung open once more, and a loud commotion erupted as a group of people rushed in. Mia's eyes darted toward the noise, her chest tightening. This was turning into something more complicated than she had ever imagined. "Who else is coming?" Ben murmured, his voice laced with concern. As she turned back toward her father, the world around her blurred. Here she stood, on the brink of discovering the deep connections that had been denied her all these years, and yet another mystery was lurking just beyond reach. What had she truly stepped into? Would she finally grasp the full story, or would it slip away again, like sand through her fingers? The urgency in her heart surged, demanding the answers she had always craved. The answers that could redefine everything she knew. Mia's heart pounded as the commotion drew closer. A wave of anxiety washed over her, prompting her to step back from her father. She was overwhelmed. How could everything change so radically in a matter of moments? Each voice that joined the chatter felt like the gathering winds of a storm. Something powerful was brewing just beneath the surface. Mia, let me explain, her father urged again, his eyes pleading for understanding. But the door burst open, and in strode another group of people, vibrant personalities all tied to the chaos of her family history. What is going on here? One voice demanded, a mixture of surprise and anger lacing the air. Mia's gaze swept over the newcomers, each face odd yet familiar. It struck her like an avalanche. Her heart raced as she realized who they were, siblings she didn't even know she had. Mia. We were looking for you, shouted a girl with striking eyes. The resemblance was uncanny, a haunting echo of herself reflected back. Her heart quaked under the weight of it all. Mia, this is her father started, but already the room felt like a tumult of defensive emotions. Stop. Mia blurted, feeling the pressure in her chest swell as all eyes turned to her. Who are these people? Her voice shook but rang with determination. We're your family, the girl replied, stepping forward, her expression earnest. I'm Sophie, your sister. We didn't know what? Mia interrupted, the words spilling out faster than her thoughts. Didn't he know you had another sister? That my father left me and never looked back. The newcomers exchanged glances, uncertainty visible in their expressions. We just found out ourselves, Sophie said quietly. We are just as confused as you are. Her father hung his head, shame coloring his features. I thought I was protecting you, Mia. It was never meant to be like this. Protecting me? By cutting me off. She spat, feeling the weight of 10 years of questions and isolation bubble over. So much anger, so much confusion. Before she could spiral further into the whirlpool of emotions, Jake stepped up, gentle but firm. Let us all take a breath, he said, scanning the room with a calm intensity. Clearly, we've all just been thrust into something unexpected. Maybe we split things up logically. Mia nodded slightly, grateful for his grounding presence. Can everyone just explain what they know? We need to understand where we each fit into this puzzle. The crowd slowly settled, and Clara, the woman who had welcomed her, took a step forward. It all started years ago, she began, her voice steadying as she shared the accounts of family secrets hidden away like treasures in the attic. There were two families entwined, and no one wanted anyone to get caught in the crossfire. It's dark and messy, but everyone's here now, and maybe it's time to mend what has been broken. Each story, dull as it may have seemed at first, felt like a thread weaving through their lives. The connections they shared, those heartbeats echoing across decades, began to loosen the knots in Mia's chest. For the first time, she bore witness to how their worlds had intertwined, the insidious ways fear had corroded trust and communication. Her father spoke again, his voice a tired whisper. When the divorce happened, I thought I could shield you. I was wrong. I lost my grip on the family that remains. That doesn't explain much. Sophie interjected, her frustration evident. If we're family now, don't we deserve honesty? Because I want to understand where I fit in all this. Mia felt some walls crack around her heart. Here they were, running towards each other instead of turning away. It felt almost miraculous. With each shared discovery, they moved closer to healing. As the conversations weaved in and out, Mia floated between anger and understanding. Slowly they began to piece things together, her siblings' stories harmonizing with her memories of loss, each one filling in the gaps of the past. When the last echoes faded, it felt like they all took a collective breath, exposure putting them at a raw turning point where choice lingered. Jake finally broke the silence, his voice soothing as he introduced a new direction. "What if we build something from this?" he suggested. "Your siblings. Mia, you're all connected in ways you didn't know. So why not take this moment to grow together, rather than just dwell in the past?" Sophie offered a tentative smile, framed with hope. "We could build a new beginning. One where we share memories instead of divide ourselves." Mia felt the tears pooling in her eyes. There was light amidst the chaos, an opportunity to forge bonds that had been severed so long ago. "I'd like that," she whispered, the strength pooling in her heart. As they discussed how to navigate their newfound relationships, Mia looked around at her father, her siblings, and Jake, people who were once children of lost connections but were now standing united. She silently vowed, they would rewrite their narrative together. With laughter mingling with hesitant words, Mia's course shifted and realigned. No longer was she engulfed in shadows, instead, she could embrace this radiant chance to redefine family. The pieces of her heart, once scattered in the wake of secrets, began to fit together with a promise of belonging. The past would always remain a part of her journey, but standing amidst laughter and light, she made a commitment to face whatever awaited ahead together. And in that moment, it felt like every lost connection transformed into a bright new pathway ahead, a promise of connection, a promise of love. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss next week's exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let us know we're doing something right. Comment below with your feelings about this heartwarming conclusion. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support makes all the difference.